won the game. Defense, four takeaway, multiple sacks. Brian, Spider-Man, Burns, Pro Bowl snap, absolutely. Should have been a Pro Bowl. Should have been a starter. Ahead of Cameron Jordan, Chase Young, and other defensive end players. No question about it. So Brian Burns, he wasn't anywhere near 100% healthy. During the week, we heard from Matt Rule, wasn't sure if he's going to play. Phil Snow, the defensive coordinator for the Panthers, on Thursday, stated Burns is probably not going to play. So we know that Brian Burns coming to the game wasn't going to be 100% healthy. But despite that, ladies and gentlemen, he played. And he played outstanding. He had a sack. He had a lot of pressure on the quarterback on both Dwayne Haskins and Tyler Anarchy light, ultra light deal. Just kidding. Tyler Anarchy. So Brian Burns had a sack, a lot of pressure, and he was all over the field. And if you've not been a Panthers fan, you would have not known that Brian Burns was dealing with an injury that he suffered last week on a big, big sack and turn down play late in the fourth quarter on Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron discount double check Rodgers. So Bones wasn't nowhere near 100% healthy. He played and he played outstanding. The rookie defensive end, the other side of Brian Burns, Yair Gross, Ito Gross Matos, had a sack in the game and he was pretty well, played pretty well. Derek Brown, even though he didn't have a sack, his presence was outstanding. He had a couple of tipped balls, got pressure on the quarterback, and he did a pretty good job against the run overall. So the front four for the Panthers played pretty well. The linebacker group also played well. And who would have guessed? Number 52, Kai Whitehead, actually made a pretty good play. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to take my hat off to Whitehead. He had an interception, a big interception. Played pretty well today. Like I said, the linebacker group, he, Shaq Thompson, Jermaine Carter, they all made big plays. Jermaine Carter recovered the fumble by Dwayne Haskins and almost scored, but he did not. So Panthers also had an interception by Trey Boston. So, like I said, overall, outstanding, outstanding defensive effort by the Carolina Panthers. Sure, the first half, the Washington football team had success running the ball for 86 yards, but second half, it was absolutely a non-factor. The Panthers did a great job defense again, pressuring Dwayne Haskins, pressuring Tyler Anarchy, and making them throw the ball before they wanted to. Like I say, defense played great. Switching to the offense for the Carolina Panthers, they did a pretty good job, in my opinion, of running the ball. And at times, Teddy Bridgewater did a pretty good job finding the wide receivers open. But again, Teddy Bridgewater took a very bad, inexcusable sack on fourth down. That, my friend, is totally unacceptable. Also, Teddy Bridgewater was stripped of one time, stripped fumble with Chase Young, the football team defensive rookie, candidate for defense of rookie of the year. It is stripped sack. But Teddy Bridgewater has to do a better job of only onto the ball. Teddy Bridgewater also had interception. That ball was steep, but still, that could be blamed on Teddy Bridgewater's shoulder. So Teddy Bridgewater overall was okay, not great, not bad, but okay. Running game for the Panthers was pretty was pretty good, especially Cody Samuel and Mike Davis and Rodney Smith. Panthers also scored a touchdown on a punt that the football team fumbled the ball, and Brendan Zimpler, I'm probably not going to pronounce it correctly, his last name, but ladies and gentlemen, I dare you to try to pronounce his name 10 times, and you will probably not get his name correct either. So Brandon Z, I will call him Brandon Z, recovered the ball in the end zone, Panthers touchdown. Now, one area for concern, but it's pointless to address it with next week, week 17, but kicking game. Ladies and gentlemen, Joyce Lice, in my opinion, should not be brought back next year. He missed a chip shot extra point, which is totally unexcusable considering wind wasn't a factor in today's game. The weather was outstanding. He also nearly missed a couple of extra points. That, my friend, is totally unacceptable for a place kicker in the NFL. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I know I've seen it on Twitter, on social media, fans saying, oh my gosh, we want the Panthers to lose. We want them to lose to get a better draft pick and so on. And sure, because of the loss, the Panthers dropped 5 spots from potentially the 4th spot. Here we have Phil Pell say hello to Shuggy the cat. Shuggy, say hello and say keep pounding and let's go Panthers. Okay, so my cat wanted to appear. So ladies and gentlemen, going back to the draft situation, the Panthers shoot. They drop potentially from the 12th spot all the way to the 9th spot. Now, two things to remember. Number one, next week, if the Panthers lose at home to the New Orleans Saints, depending on other games, the Panthers could be back again picking in the top 5. That is quite possible. Maybe even picking number 4 overall. We should wait and see. Number 2, and this is very important to remember, ladies and gentlemen, in the NFL, in baseball, in NBA, but talking about NFL, ladies and gentlemen, in the NFL, it realistically doesn't matter where you pick, whether you're picking number 1 or you're picking number 32 overall pick, which means you probably win the Super Bowl unless you trade for that pick. It really doesn't matter where you're picking. What is really matter, ladies and gentlemen, is how well have you scouted the players that you are targeting. Because you can, the situation is, ladies and gentlemen, you can be picking in the top 3 and drafting a bust, or you can be picking in number 20 and drafting a future Hall of Fame, or in Tom Brady case, in the 5th round, in drafting a Hall of Fame. So it's not really matter where you're picking, but your scouting. And just for future reference, history, going back multiple years to the NFL draft, well, back then, the San Diego Chargers and the Indianapolis Colts had the 1 and the 2nd pick. The Colts had the number 1 overall pick. The Chargers had the number 2 overall pick. Guess who got the Hall of Fame quarterback right? And guess who got the bust? The Colts drafted Hall of Fame Peyton Manning. The Chargers drafted Ryan Leaf, who turned out to be a bust. Later on, you later on, the draft, the Carolina Panthers drafted Brian Spider-Man Brown. One pick earlier, one pick earlier than that. The Washington, back then they used to be called the Redskins, drafted Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State. Is Dwayne Haskins a starter in the NFL? Absolutely not. At very best, unless he revives his career and work on his mechanics, which is possible, but only time will tell. He is very bad a backup quarterback. And again, he was picked one spot ahead of Brian Bell. Look at just last year's draft. Giants, the New York Giants, drafted tackle Andrew Thomas. Very high. Very high. They drafted Andrew Thomas. Third overall. Is Andrew Thomas playing great? Not really. A pick later, the Detroit Lions drafted Jeffrey Okudah. Is Jeffrey Okudah playing great? Not really. So, and then the draft that the Kansas City Chiefs traded for Patrick Mahomes. Was Patrick Mahomes the first overall pick in that draft? He was not. The second pick in that draft was quarterback Mitchell Trubisky. Now, Trubisky, I'm not going to sit there and say he's a bust, but comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, it's not a comparison. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, assuming he can stay healthy, is going to make it to the Hall of Fame first ballot, without a doubt. Mitchell Trubisky is just a starting quarterback. He's never going to make it to the Hall of Fame. So the point is, ladies and gentlemen, don't focus. Don't focus on where you're picking. Focus on your scout, which I know, ladies and gentlemen, we the fans, if the team is not going to make the playoffs, we want to get as high of a draft pick as possible. That is the part of fan in us. But it's not always the case, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about scouting. Scout, and scout. Don't worry about a position where you're drafting. Worry about the scouts and how well you scout the players, because you can get a steal. You can get a steal late in the first round, second round, third round, you name it, fourth round, fourth, fifth, sixth, even the seventh round. You can get a steal, a future Hall of Famer, or you can draft a bust, number 1 overall pick, number 2 overall pick. So yeah, you want to pick as high as possible if you're not going to make the playoffs. But hey, you know what? It's also about building momentum. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, this Carolina Panthers team, they're not going to make the playoffs with you. They're mathematically eliminated. Too bad they're not playing in the NFC East. If they were probably going to win that division by 3 to 4 games. But ladies and gentlemen, this Carolina Panthers team is better overall than the 5-10 record indicating. When you look at the season, ladies and gentlemen, the only game, ladies and gentlemen, that the Carolina Panthers lost by double digit this season so far was one game. the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. So the bottom line, this team is not that far away from contending. Sure, they could use upgraded quarterback. No disrespect to Teddy Bridgewater, but I clearly don't believe Teddy Bridgewater is a franchise quarterback who is going to lead Carolina Panthers to the promised land, which is winning the Super Bowl. So, sure, they need to draft a quarterback, a franchise quarterback, or sign a quarterback. There will be quarterbacks available this offseason in free agency, this coming offseason in free agency. So they need to draft a quarterback. They need help at linebacker. As I mentioned before, they could use help at linebacker. They could use help at the secondary at safety. And making sure that they retain Taylor Moton and Curtis Samuel as possible, and getting a left tackle. That is clearly a need for the Carolina Panthers, and also upgrading a tight end. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, when you look at the whole picture and the big picture, this team isn't so far away from containing, from being a contender. They're not that far away, ladies and gentlemen. I know last year, basically the Panthers finished with the same record as they are right now. Last year, they finished 6-10. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll be honest with you, this team, this current version, the 2021 Carolina Panthers team, is a much better outlook, much better future than last year's team. This team, Carolina Panthers, with few moves that I mentioned before, a minute ago, in the video, with few moves that they can make it free agency in the draft, they could easily, assuming that they stay healthy, easily, ladies and gentlemen, next year be a playoff contender. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, I'm going to win the Super Bowl, because that is way, way, way premature. But ladies and gentlemen, this team, Carolina Panthers, isn't so far away from being 9, 10, 11 win type of a team. Because like I said earlier, the only game that they lost in a blowout out of the 10 losses that this team had was one game to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you flip the script from the 10 games that they lost. You flip the script, and 4 to 5 of those games, and all of a sudden, instead of 5-10, you have a 10-5 team. 10-5 in the NFC easily get you into the playoffs. So like I said, the future is very bright for this Carolina Panthers team. Matt Rule, my opinion, should get a lot of consideration for NFL Coach of the Year. That is for sure. Jeremy Chain should win Defense Rookie of the Year. Brian Bell should have made the Pro Bowl. That is without a doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, you know by now, when the Carolina Panthers win, you know what happened. You know what happened, ladies and gentlemen. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Sweet Caroline. Oh, oh, oh. I feel so good, so good, so good. I never found so good. The Carolina Panthers win. Coming around the mountains, coming around the mountains. The Carolina Panthers win. The Panthers win a game. Feel snow, made it snow on the football team. Sweet Carolina. Oh, oh, oh. I'm so excited, I'm coughing now. The Panthers win a game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yay, 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 yay. Sweet Caroline. Oh, 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 the Panthers win a game. The Carolina Panthers will win a ball game. Everyone should clap your hands and celebrate. 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 The Panthers win a game. Sweet Caroline, keep pounding on the way. Keep pounding, keep pounding, keep pounding, Panthers Nation.